Okay, almost time to start. We have Waylon here at the studio today. We call her the Fluffinator. One, because she's so fluffy and hair gets everywhere, but two, because she's a little bit naughty. So let's see how this goes. She'll probably be a little distracting, but we'll see. She's a very sweet girl, so. We are going to do yoga for stress today, so grab lots of props, grab blankets, grab things that make you comfortable. If you are not comfortable in a chair, please, on your seat crisscross, then please grab a chair. Grab anything you need to make you more comfortable when seated. The whole idea of this class is not to bring any extra stress into the body. So this isn't the class where you're learning to get really, really strong in the muscles. We're learning to find the places where we're holding tension and release that tension. So the softer we get, the more comfortable we get, the better. We're going to look to release tension. We're going to do some somatic movements to really shake out some tension. And we're going to see if Fluffy will behave herself the whole time. We'll see. She's pretty excited about having single dog attention rather than having to share it with her sisters. So she might be good. So come on down to your back and start to settle in. Start to land on your back. Start to find yourself on the mat. Starting to release into the mat and let go of what came before, let go of what might come soon, and land in present moment. Take particular note of your hips and your shoulders, trying to release into the ground. I'm going to see if I can come down without distracting her. So come on down. So if you have a particularly tight back or lower back or back of your legs, bring your feet down to the ground with your knees up and let your knees just soften in. And then start to really try to let your hips land on the ground. So really releasing your hips into the ground. So think about the bones in your hips and think about them sinking more into the muscles behind them, into the back, into the ground. And then think about the shoulder blades and think about the same thing. Think about the bones being extremely heavy and they're sinking into the ground. Think about the weight of the skull and start to let the skull sink into the ground, really releasing the neck. Mindful of the neck. So oftentimes what happens when people come to the ground is they feel the ground below them and they feel like they need to push their neck down towards the ground. Try to keep that natural soft curve of your neck. Try not to force your neck into a straight position. Maybe bring your chin a little more to the ceiling. Allowing yourself to really start to feel yourself on the ground. Beginning to say to yourself, I am here now. I am here now. And then without bringing any muscular tension into the shoulders, bring your hands just underneath your rib cage and just start to feel the warmth of your hands in this space. Start to connect with your stomach moving as your breath comes in and out. And take note as if you start to focus on your breath, you start to bring muscular force into this space. Just take note. Try to keep soft for a while. Just watching your stomach rise and fall with your breath. And then bring your hands just underneath your collarbones and watch your chest rise and fall with your breath. Trying to connect with the warmth of your hands. As if the warmth of your hands could add to the softness in your chest, allowing your breath to pass by more freely. When it doesn't matter which, take one hand and place it back down underneath the rib cage. So now one hand on your chest, one hand below the rib cage. And watch both parts of your torso move with your breath, connecting to the warmth of your hands and finding softness from your hands. And the imagination is a powerful tool. Imagine that you have healing hands. And just by placing your hands here, you can bring softness and reduce tension. You can give your hands an energy ball or color or temperature, something to help you connect with this. And then we're going to imagine an energetic pathway for our breath. So we're going to imagine connecting our breath from our heart center, so the hand on top, all the way down to our emotional center. So the hand on bottom, breathing in, breathe from the top hand to the bottom hand, breathing out, breathe from the bottom hand to the top hand. And as you begin to connect with this imaginary energetic pathway, begin to see the energy moving freely. Imagine there are no holding patterns or misaligned bones or anything in the way. Just a connection from your center, your heart center, your spiritual center to your emotional center. And then slowly adjust the hand on top down closer to your hips. So now imagine a pathway from your emotional center to your hips, which is your grounding, the space closest to the earth, through your hips down to your feet. So imagine you're connecting your emotional center to your sense of grounding, your sense of security or home, your base. And imagine again that this pathway is free of any holding patterns, free of fear, free of worry, just connecting, moving energy. And then gently adjust the hand on top back up to the heart center. Connect your base to your spiritual center, your bliss center, a space of unconditional love, connecting it to your sense of home and security. And for many of us, this sense of home and security can be a difficult one to process. Many of us have a shaken sense of home or security. So try to think about either connecting to the earth or connecting to a sense of security in this moment right now. So perhaps if they're struggling, saying to yourself, right here in this moment, all of my needs are met. So rather than thinking about building up sense of strength and security and base and feeling safe in your physical body at all times, think about making little building blocks. And like you're building a foundation, and these little building blocks eventually make stronger sense of security. So think about the moment right now rather than the bigger picture, and think about building a sense of security and a sense of grounding right now in this moment And then connecting that to your heart center, your spiritual center. And then allow the hands to just fall to your sides, palms up or down, wherever your shoulders are comfortable. And check in with how you are feeling. Check in with how you feel emotionally, physically, mentally, and energetically. And maybe even checking in with that spiritual part of yourself, that part that feels connected, whether you have your own religious practice, feeling that sense of spirituality, connection, no matter what that is for you. And check in with it. Do you feel connected? Do you feel like you're feeling that sense of connection to your spirituality, or do you feel disconnected? Noticing, inquiring, and getting to know yourself. And then bring the knees in and give yourself a little hug. Starting to rock and feel the physical body. And take the feet up to the ceiling. And start to make movements with your feet. I'm wearing a fluffy shawl on my legs. So moving your ankles, pedaling the feet, spreading the toes, just waking up the legs and experiencing the legs. Keeping your feet above your heart, letting the blood flow back down. Slow breath, soft face. And then holding your legs wherever your legs and your hips are comfortable. We're going to pull our toes back towards the shins while pushing the balls of our feet away. So push the balls of the feet away. So active legs. Active feet, pull the toes back. And then slowly, keeping that push in the balls of the feet, curl the toes under. So curl, and then spread the toes wide, pull them back towards the shins. Curl, spread. Notice any other places that are starting to fire up, any compensation patterns that you have. Try to keep the shoulders soft. The face soft, just working through the feet. And then let the toes soften. And focusing on the whole foot now. We're going to curl the toes under and then pull the toes back, letting the balls of the feet move this time. Curl toes under and pull the toes back. So now we're sending energy out through the heels of the feet. Connecting with our feet. Pull the toes back towards the shins. Make sure your hips are comfortable. You can rest your hands on your thighs. Pull the toes in, pigeon-toed. So pull the toes towards each other and hold here. Find the muscles that make this movement happen. Connect with them. And then turn the toes out. Hold. Turn the toes in. Turn the toes out, paying attention to left and right side discrepancies, noticing your own body. Turn toes in, and turn the toes out. And then bring the knees in, give yourself a little hug. Land the left foot on the ground, knee up, wherever the hip is comfortable. We're going to hold the right leg up. And we're going to hold on to the right thigh and take circles with the shin. So really thinking about moving below the knee as much as possible. Notice the thigh wants to do all the work. So trying to find all the muscles below the knee. And then switch your circle. Finding nice, soft, slow breath. And then bring the knee in, pull the foot active. So push the ball of the foot away, pull the toes towards the shins, and we're going to send the right leg away long and then draw it back in towards the chest. So the whole leg is active the whole time. We're not flopping in space. We're finding the muscles of the legs, warming through the legs, connecting with all the muscles in the leg. And then bring the knees both in. Little hug, reset. Find the breath. Land the right foot on the ground, knee up. And then holding onto the left thigh, taking movement below the knee, circles. Trying to keep the movement below the knee, trying to stop the thigh doing all the work and just finding the muscles below the knee. Switch the direction of your circle. And then bringing the knee in towards the chest, pushing through the ball of the feet, pulling the toes towards the shin, and then push away. Like you can catch this to the breath. Inhale as you draw the knee in nice and slow. Exhale as you push the ball of the foot away. Nice and slow. With control, finding the muscles, mind-body connection, not just flopping in space. And bring both knees in, reset. Land the left foot down, knee up. Bring the right knee, even with the hip. So really paying attention to the hips now. We're going to push our hips down into the ground. Fire up the core, push our rib cage down into the ground. So now our base is nice and stable. Not pushing our lower back into the ground, but pushing our hips. Base stable, nice and strong. And we're going to let our knee come out to the right. Right knee out to the right. Hold and hover. Find the point where your hip is still grounded and you're holding and firing up the inner leg. So hold here. You can begin to play with straightening up the leg as long as it doesn't throw your base off. So knee open, find the inner thigh, hold, check in for your compensation pattern. So really check that lower back, check the neck, check the breath, check the face, hold. And we're going to try and bring the knee up just a teeny bit. Whole leg active, push the ball of the foot away. Knee up a little, push the ball of the foot away. So notice this whole inner thigh space firing up. Maybe even a little glute action. Try not to get it all in the lower back. You can bring the knee in a little more if you notice the back firing up and push down more actively into the hips. And then bring the knees in. Reset. Take a moment to notice left and right sides. Right foot down, left knee up, find your base, ground the hips, really push those hips down, fire up the core, really strong, fire up the rib cage, so push the rib cage down into the ground. Let the knee come to the left. Find the point where you can hold this nice and stable in the core and in the leg, not in the back. So find that place. Hold and hover. Maybe straighten the leg. Bend the knee. We're going to send the ball of the foot away. Whole leg active. Push the leg away. Draw the knee up. Push leg away. Draw the knee up. Really checking in and finding that muscle connection. Finding the whole inner thigh. And noticing any places that are trying to do all the work. Notice those muscles that are coming to the party that were not invited. Check the right foot. I was gripping with my toes. This is my weak side. Core fired. Press the hips down. Keep yourself stable. Both knees in. Little hug. Reset. Land both feet on the ground, wherever your knees, hips, and feet are comfortable. We're moving up from our base to our shoulders and our neck. So just starting to connect with breath first. Putting your hands down by your hips, palms down. Get really comfortable in the back. So this is not muscle action movement. We are just going to move with our breath. More of a meditative movement, having a connection with what's going on in our body. So inhale, lift arms up overhead. Exhale, slowly lower them down towards the hips. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Notice what's going on in the arms and the hands and the shoulders. And then bring the arms down. Take the right hand above the shoulder, fingertips point towards the ceiling. Watching for compensation patterns. So watch the low back, watch the feet. We're just working the shoulder. So we're thinking about this right shoulder. Everything else tries to remain soft. And we're going to lift the right shoulder up as high as we can. And we're going to move the arm towards the ground above our head. And then bring it back. Now everything is active. So the whole shoulder is active, and notice any muscles that are coming to the party that are not invited. So we're just trying to find the muscles of the shoulder. Arm up, arm down, nice and slow. It's not a huge movement. We're not looking for huge movement. We're just looking to activate. Bring the hand above the shoulder, and we're going to take it towards the ground. Shoulder is still lifted. So don't drop the shoulder. Still active in the muscles of the shoulder. Bring the hand, palm up towards the ground. Hover, not all the way down. And then back to center. So feeling the muscles of the arm, hand fired up. Wrist, everything, all the arm. Find the muscles of the arm. Should be finding the front of the shoulder. Notice the neck. Notice the face. Notice the back. Breathe. And then let the shoulder flop. We're going to take the hand, look at the hand. So connect to the muscles of the hand. Spread the fingers very wide. And then curl the fingers in nice and slow. Spread wide, nice and slow. And then bring your arm to where it is comfortable to hold. And we're going to bring the hand out open wide. And then turn and curl under. Out wide. Curl under. And then both hands up. Look at the other hand. Notice what feels different from moving through the arm and the hand. Feel the hands. Experience the muscles in the hands, and notice if this right arm is getting tired because we've been holding it up for a while. And then let it flop down. Let the right arm and shoulder be nice and soft and comfortable. And then we're going to take that left hand, fingertips to the sky. Lift the shoulder up off the ground. Find the muscles of the shoulder. Activate the whole arm, the whole shoulder. Notice the neck. So even if you didn't have compensation patterns with the right arm, notice you might have them with the left. So check in on the back, check in the neck, check in the face. Check the toes. Sometimes the toes are gripping. It's telling us that there's something else going on. So lift and hold. And we're going to take the hand a little bit above the head over towards the ground and then a little bit down towards the hips. Small movement, just finding the muscles of the arm and shoulder. So we're turning on mind-body connection with these muscles. Muscles of our base and muscles of our shoulders. Common places where people hold stress. We also hold a lot of stress in our hands. So if you've ever seen those pictures of studies done of emotions in people, almost always when we feel stress, there are pictures of people with hands and fists ready to fight. So noticing our hands, connecting with the muscles of our hands. Bring your hand up above the shoulder. And we're going to slowly take it towards the ground, shoulder height. Finding the muscles of the shoulder. And only make this movement as big as you can keep it in the arm and shoulder and not in the low back or the feet, the neck. Moving slow and with control, feeling the arm. And if you have particularly sensitive wrists and spreading the hand wide brings agitation to the wrist, you can always make claws. So this brings the muscles of the hands strong. So you're using the muscles of the hands, but it gives you a little more space if you have any inflammation in your wrist. And the more that you make the claw and build strength in your wrist and your hand, the sooner you can get to opening it wider because the inflammation reduces. And then take the hand up towards the ceiling. Look at the hand and take it round to a fist and then open it wide, nice and slow. Notice any creaks and cracks that may happen. Nice, slow, soft breath. And then both hands up, looking at the hands. Noticing your hands, noticing left and right sides, noticing differences. We're going to take the hands palms up. So bring your arms a little lower, palms up. Turn the fingertips away towards the knees and then bring the fingertips towards each other and then back out. Almost like you're making a U shape with your hand moving underneath the wrist. So moving from the wrist down, not the arms. Moving through all of the ways that our hands and wrists can move in. Noticing if coming in towards center feels tight, feels like muscles are weak. Noticing if going out feels tight or weak. Just feeling all of the ways your hands can move. And then let your arms plop down. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out of the mouth. Maybe let some of the tension of the arms and shoulders go. Try to be soft in your base, soft in your shoulders. Feel the back of your head on the ground. So roll through the head, checking the neck. Feel the back of the head on the ground, chin to the ceiling. Really connect with that space where your head connects to the ground, and then take any hand and place the palm of your hand on your forehead. So now feel that connection from the hand on your head to the ground. reminding your skull that it's on the ground and supported. Now bring your attention to all the muscles of the jaw and the face and the neck. Imagine that you're telling your head that everything is supported and that all those muscles can soften and take a break, release their burden. Pay particular attention to the lower jaw. Imagine little pockets of space forming in between upper and lower jaw. And then release the hand and soften again. Notice if your jaw immediately tried to clamp up. Notice if any muscles in your face tried to clamp back up. Soften again. And then laying here, we're going to work the muscles of the jaw. So a common place we hold tension. And also muscles that do a lot of work for us that we don't even really connect to and think about too much. So bring the lower jaw all the way down, open wide as you can. Stretch, stretch, stretch the lower jaw. Force it into its lowest position and hold. And then while it's in its lowest position, take the chin over to the right without moving the head. So you're just moving the jaw muscles in ways that the jaw can move. So sometimes your head is going to want to do a lot of work here. You can bring your fingertips to your temples or just behind your temples just to remind your head to be still and let your jaw come all the way down and then over to the right. And then bring it all the way over to the left. Notice any compensation patterns in the upper muscles of the face. Bring the jaw all the way forward. So back to neutral and then push it forward. Lower jaw forward. And then bring your fingertips to your chin. So bring your fingertips to the chin while pushing your chin forward. So just reminding your chin where it is, what position it's in. So we're not pushing our chin. We're just pushing our chin into our fingertips and holding. And then trying to hold this position. Bring your fingertips to the back of the jaw without letting it move. And then push your back of your jaw into your fingertips without letting it move. So just find the muscles that go backwards. Breathe. And then release. Take a little wiggle of the jaw and notice how it feels. And then rolling on over to a side, make your way to a tabletop position. So come on over to a tabletop. We're going to begin to move and breathe through tabletop. We've got a sleeping guardian in the corner. I don't know if you can see her. I can move. So inhale in tabletop, exhale towards child's pose. Moving and breathing, feeling your hands on the ground. Trying to let go of perfect shapes and what you think you should look like or feel like. And just having an internal experience, moving with your breath. Inhaling forward, exhaling hips backwards. Adjust. Place blankets under the knees. Take any props you need to make this movement feel better in your own body. And then come forward in tabletop and place the forearms down. So just setting up so you can be comfortable on the forearms. So however you can adjust your arms. They do not need to be perfectly underneath the shoulders. In fact, this can be problematic for many people. So place your arms down where your shoulders are comfortable. Palms are flat. Feel your hands on the ground and then start to connect with your arms and shoulders. So a little bit of a tension in the stomach just to keep any buckling out of the back. We're going to start to pull the hands apart without letting them move. That should fire up inner shoulders. So bringing a little attention and awareness, watch for the neck, take any tension out of the neck. And then we're going to start to move through the shoulders. So this is very small, subtle movements. We're going to lift the right shoulder blade up. So lift it up towards the ear. Small, subtle movement, and then bring it back. Arms are engaged. Bring the left shoulder blade up towards the ear and bring it back. We're just trying to feel the muscles that are moving and can make these movements happen in our body. Bring right shoulder up towards the ear and back. Left shoulder towards the ear and back. Slow, steady, controlled, and paying attention, not flopping around. And then bring both hands back down to the ground, back to tabletop. We're going to lift up in tabletop. So lift the shoulders up, pull the chest back towards the sky. And then we're going to, with engagement in our hands, so a little weight in our hands, we're going to roll the shoulders slow as you can. It's finding the muscles that make circles with the shoulders happen. Connect with the shoulders. Reverse the circles. See if you can go the other direction. And then draw the shoulder blades together. So hold the shoulder blade. We're not sinking. Draw the shoulder blades with muscles together. And then draw them up and down. Small movement. They're not going to go far if they're squeezing together. If the muscles are squeezing together, small movement. So a lot of people, when they're telling themselves to stand up straight, one of the things they do is pinch right between the shoulder blades. So if you notice these muscles are either weak or crampy, or perhaps they feel a little too grippy, really paying attention, you're going to find a holding pattern here, if that's your holding pattern. And then press the chest up to the sky. Round out the shoulders. Lift, lift, lift out of the ground. Tension out of the neck. Tension out of the face. And then lower all the way down, crocodile pose. Nice and slow. One hand on top of the other. I have so much fluffy hair, I don't know if I can put my face down on the ground. One hand on top of the other, forehead down, and shimmy the hips. Notice the muscles of the shoulders. See if you can soften a little more into the ground. And then we're going to connect to the muscles in the back, moving and breathing. So bringing the hands for balance wherever they are comfortable. Thinking about taking the tension out of the neck and not lifting the head, but lifting the shoulders. We're going to fire up all the muscles of the back line from the heels to the shoulders. Inhale as you lift and exhale as you lower. So connecting with those muscles in the back and trying to use them evenly. Trying to use the glutes, the low back, the mid back, the upper back evenly. Using the back of the legs. Move with your breath. Find the muscles in your back. So building core muscles is not only building the front, but building the muscles in the back also. Move with your breath. Connect with these muscles. And then lift up, place the hands down on the ground, and then this time a little softer, hands a bit wider. We're going to move through range of motion, so not connecting with muscle gripping. Lower the left shoulder to the ground and look towards the right foot. Lower the right shoulder to the ground and look to the left. As you get the hang of the movement, start to have an internal experience. Move the hips, the feet, the shoulders, any way that starts to feel correct in your own body. Trust in your body's intuition. Connect to the breath. Inhale as you lift up through center. Exhale as you turn. And then bring it back to crocodile pose. Shimmy and let go. Bring particular attention to the muscles of the throat. Connect to your breath. Connect to how your throat feels. And we're going to work on a cleansing breath. So thinking about cleansing the muscles of the back of our throat. Bring yourself up to Sphinx pose. So palms down, shoulders down, the shoulders active. Lengthen through the spine. So rather than thinking about getting an arch, think about getting long between each vertebrae. Find the position you can hold without pinching anywhere in your back. So arms and shoulders are a little bit active, no pinching in the back. Start to connect with lengthening your breath. And the next breath that we're going to do, this breath practice, is very forceful. So not soft, very forceful. We're going to inhale in and we're going to ha out. We're going to do that while sticking out our tongue. So the point is to really get out anything stuck, really cleansing in the back of our throat. So we're going to do it 3 times. Deep breath in, ha out 3 times, and then return to crocodile. So take a very deep breath in to prepare, and 3 times. And then return to crocodile. Place your forehead down and notice anything that comes up. Notice sensations. Release and soften and relax into a regular, natural breathing pattern. Try to release any gripping around the throat. And we're working the back of the legs a little, so bring the right heel towards the glute. Squeeze the right heel, foot active, towards the glute. So start to connect with this leg really strong and active, and then slowly bring the foot back down and back towards the glute. So we're working through the back of the leg. Trying to find the muscles as if you're trying to restrict your own movement. Squeeze the muscles. Find the muscles in the back of the leg. Bring the heel up even with the knee. And then press the heel up into the sky. So watch for your compensation patterns. Only lift the heel as far as you can. Keep this in the glutes and the legs. Try not to lift this hip up off the ground too much. Keep this leg active. Hold the leg active. Little pulses. Little pulses. Hold the leg up, hover. Take the heel over to the right and then over to the left. Nice and slow and with control. Find the muscles that make this movement happen. Small movement, subtle movement. Take the tension out of the neck, particularly if you're trying to look at the screen. Keep an eye on the neck. And then lower the right leg down and give it a really good shake. Really good shake. Loosen and soften. Take the left heel towards the glute. Fire up the foot, the leg. Fire up all of these muscles. Take the tension out of the neck. And then slowly lower to the ground and back to the glute. Working through the whole back of the leg. Trying to keep this out of the low back. Notice if it's doing all the work. Notice if you're gripping in the low back. Notice if you're gripping around the shoulders. Pay attention. Have that constant internal dialogue. Looking, feeling, connecting, searching. And then bring the heel even with the knee. Hold and hover and little pulses up to the ceiling. Little, small, controlled movements. Subtle movements. Hold and hover. Bring the heel out towards the left. It's not going to go far. Bring it in towards center. So finding the muscles that make this movement happen. And then let that left leg go and give it a good shake. And then roll on over back to your back. Take a little side to side with the knees. Land on your back. Feel yourself on the ground. Get comfortable on your back. And then we're going to take the heels a little bit further away from the glutes than we would normally have them. Place the heels on the ground. Fire up the feet. So pull the toes towards the shins. And we're going to start to feel like we're pulling the heels towards the glutes without letting the heels move. So now fire up the back of the leg. Notice, so my hair was in the way, so my neck was doing all the work. So notice those compensation patterns. So really keep this from the hip down. Try not to make the low back do all the work. Pull, pull, pull those heels towards you. Fire up the back of the legs. If you are not already cramping, bring the backs of your arms into the ground to keep you nice and stable. Hands can go to the ceiling. And then we're going to fire up the lower core and pull the hips up just a teeny bit. Hold and hover. So now really feel like you're pulling those heels really, 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 really tight towards the glutes. Fire up the back of the legs. Lower the hips. Let the knees soften side to side. And then let the legs land on the ground and shake them out. Really shake them out. That somatic movement, that muscle reset. Let it go. Soften and loosen. Release the tension in the legs. And then bring the feet back to the ground. And we're going to do a hip reset. So landing on the ground, get your feet on the ground, and 2 options for the hip reset. So the base reset, you can either lift the hips just a teeny bit and let them bounce onto the ground, little bounces. You can also pulse your feet like you're pushing the weight into your feet. Push, 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 like really soft pulses left and right, and it can wiggle the hips and legs. So looking for the one that feels like you're releasing, you're letting go. It's not confusing. So really moving the hips and the legs like they're a bowl of jelly moving. Let go, release and soften. Really feel the wiggles. And take a deep breath in. And with an exhale, sigh out and let go. Land. Notice if one leg flops to the side more than the other. Just take a check-in. A mental note. Look at the knee. Say, oh, look, that one's more over to the outside. Just note it. Sometimes just seeing these things can let our brain reset some of these holding patterns without us having to think about it. Take the heels long. So take the legs long, land the heels on the ground with a little soft bend in the knee. We're going to do a full body wiggle. So little soft bend in the knee. Land the head on the ground, chin up, neck soft, arms wherever hands and arms and shoulders are comfortable. And then we're going to flick our toes back and forth. So flick and let your whole body wiggle. So try to do the flicking soft. We're not using the muscles really strong in our legs. Whole body wiggle. Wiggle as much as you can. See if you can get some wiggles up and down the entire length of your spine. Notice any parts that seem to be gripping and not wiggling. Just notice them. Try not to force them. Just be patient. Let them soften. Wiggle as softly as you can. Take a really, really deep breath in, and with the exhale, kind of sigh it out and land on the ground, wherever your body lands. Notice how your body feels. Notice if one foot feels like it's twisted more in one direction than the other. Notice how you feel from the beginning of practice. Notice how your hips feel on the ground. Notice how your shoulders feel on the ground. And then from this position, feel free to remain here if this is exactly where you want to be for the resting pose. If you want to make adjustments, cushions under the knees or legs on a chair, blanket, take the time to find your comfort for your resting pose. So let go of that idea of, oh, I can squeeze in another little stretch, I can open my hips, I can do something else, I can squeeze in a little more. Let go of that. Try and really soften. Find the position where you can be extremely soft and at rest. Letting go. Softening into the ground. I'm thinking about that energetic highway we were kind of working with at the start of practice. So There's traditions and many practices actually that have the chakra system. And whether or not you connect with it, it works for you, or you believe in it, we definitely have a spinal highway, an energetic highway. Energy moves from our brain down our spine, throughout the rest of our body, and then back up our spine. That's definitely true. We also have energy bundles, nerve bundles in certain places in our spine. So we have these areas where energy is condensed. So thinking about our spinal highway, maybe thinking about your base, thinking about your emotional center, thinking about your heart center, your spiritual center. Thinking about these centers being connected and moving freely. So if you'd like, if you are a visual person, begin to imagine a river, a color, something moving up and down your spine freely without holding patterns. Fresh energy moving down. Fresh energy moving back up, releasing anything no longer needed. And then extending that connection, not just moving from the heart center, but moving from the crown of the head. Fresh energy moving from the crown of the head all the way down to the base. And then all the way back up. Drawing in fresh and sweeping away what's no longer needed. And then let go of even that. Let go of control of the breath, control of the body. And let the awareness land wherever it lands. Notice what you are drawn to. And then see if you can sit there and have an internal experience without judgment. See if you're an impartial observer, peeking in, noticing. As thoughts and distractions come in, notice them without fighting. Notice that you can get carried away by a sound or a thought. Just notice and gently draw your awareness back in internally, softening, diving deeper, becoming so quiet and so soft. Perhaps you can find the sound of your own heartbeat. If you have the time to spare, please spend as much time as you can in your resting pose, practicing letting go and journeying within, noticing the thoughts can draw you back out, and practicing the letting go, ungripping of the thoughts. If you need to finish up at 60-minute mark, we have hit that mark. So begin to soften back in the room. Take your movements soft and slow. Bring a knee in at a time and make your way to a fetal position. And curl up in a little ball. Connect once again to that heart center, your spiritual center, your spark of life, your bliss center. As if each time we come to the fetal position, we're reminding ourselves to peel back the layers, peel back the walls, and connect within. And there's often a misconception that to be a good person or a good yogi means to lead with this bliss center, to only believe that good and bliss will ever happen. And that if we lead with the center, everything will go right. And it's not that if we lead with our heart open, we believe that everything will be right and just and everything will be perfect. It is that we lead with our heart center because we know when things go wrong, when things are tough, we know how to connect within and repair and recharge and start over, leading with our heart. We know that we have our own backs. We know that we can be strong enough to get ourselves through. Leading with your heart is not leading and trusting that nothing will go wrong. It is trusting in your own ability to repair and mend and pull yourself back up. Complete your practice by coming to a seated position with your hands apart, heart space. And take a moment to connect with the concept of bringing your left and right sides to meet in front of your heart. Gesture of accepting yourself as whole and complete, precisely as you are. May we all know a little community, a little connection. Thanks for joining us.